Have you ever sat in the quiet of dawn, listening to the world slowly awaken, and wondered, how can I find true peace amidst this endless rush of life? Buddhism, with its timeless wisdom flowing through centuries, teaches us that peace is not something to chase outside, it is a gentle awakening within. It whispers that everything meant for us will arrive when our hearts are ready to receive, just as a flower blooms only when touched by the warmth of the sun. In this journey, we will explore ancient stories and reflections that reveal a powerful truth. Letting go is not about becoming cold or indifferent. It is about unburdening the heart from clinging, so we can truly embrace the present with openness and calm. Detachment, in its purest form, is freedom. A freedom that allows us to love without fear and to live without the constant ache of wanting life to be something it is not. Today, walk with me on this path of inner discovery. Together, we will uncover how to weave these teachings into our daily lives, to let go of what does not belong to us, to hold lightly what comes, and to live each moment with deep awareness and quiet joy. Lesson 1. Art of Detachment. The Liberation of the Soul. A monk used to wander who had about him a little bowl of clay. It was not beautiful or costly, but he took care of it, since this was his only item that he used every day to drink the water and to eat rice. One day, when it was out washing in a running brook, the bowl slipped through his fingers and broke upon the rocks beneath. A moment, he just stood there, watching the scraps go in the current. He bowed his head then and smiled. A young follower who witnessed it told his master, "Master, why are you smiling after you have lost your only bowl?" The monk answered quietly, "Because I knew that it never belonged to me. It was already broken in the future, even before it broke. Now it has just gone back to earth." Being detached does not mean toughing up your heart. It does not concern opening the doors of your heart too wide so that it stopped being so attached to the ephemeral condition of life. We tend to cling on to so many things and so many people, our roles, our objects, promises, and even people. We hold destinies that have sucked out our souls, relationships that are choking our lives, and dreams that do not fit us anymore. We are afraid to relax, that we will be emptied. However, the truth is that clinging is what tends to make us empty. According to Buddhism, through this attachment, there is suffering. We desire to have permanence whereby that is ever-changing. Attaining to a thing like craving for wind with clenched fists, by holding it tightly, we only give ourselves a hand at it, and it escapes us, so that we end up fatigued and frustrated. Picture a fall tree. Its leaves get gold and down to the ground. Nor weeps the tree the loss it undergoes, the silent pledge of spring it trusts to know. Similarly, by letting go, we allow something new to sprout inside us. Consider some of the times you have lost either a thing or a person, and initially the pain was almost intolerable, but gradually you understood that life had made room in it so that it might receive something better and wiser and truer. The thing is, when looking at the time of loss, we are too frightened to see the silent gifts that are hidden in the change. Detachment does not imply ceasing loving and caring. It implies that you love freely as opposed to lovingly. This means that you have a deep sip of life that is given to you every day, but not to the extent that you hold it tight, so that when it spills, you also end up breaking your heart with it. The first key to the inner peace is this art of letting go. Only then, when we cease to fight against the transitory nature of life, shall we start getting that which comes to knock at our door. Our heart will be open, and our soul will be free. Lesson 2. Radical Acceptance. Embracing reality as it is. There was once a young seeker who spent years meditating in the forest, hoping to become enlightened. But each morning, as he opened his eyes, the same worries returned to his mind. One day, exhausted and angry, he sat before his teacher and said, "Master, no matter how hard I try, life refuses to bend to my will. My thoughts keep coming back. My pains keep returning. I feel defeated." The master simply looked at him with kind eyes and said, "When the river flows, do you try to push it backwards? You suffer because you fight against what is. Life is not here to please your mind. It is here to open your heart. Acceptance is not giving up on your dreams or resigning yourself to pain. It is seeing life with clarity beyond the haze of your expectations and fears. It is about walking through each moment with your eyes wide open without coloring it with stories of how it should be. Why is acceptance so difficult? Because our mind clings to illusions. We believe that if we push harder, fight longer, everything will align with our plans. But life is like the ocean. No wave obeys your commands, yet each carries you somewhere meaningful if you allow it. Imagine standing before a great wave at sea. You could raise your fists and scream at its force, or you could dive beneath it, feeling its power pass overhead before rising calmly on the other side. The wave does not care for your resistance. In the same way, reality remains as it is whether we accept it or not. But acceptance is not passive surrender. It is a warrior's strength in seeing things as they are and then deciding wisely how to act. It is like a skilled gardener. She cannot command the rain to fall nor force the sun to shine, but she tends to the soil, prunes what has died, and trusts that with care and patience her garden will bloom in its own time. Consider the archer. He draws his bow with perfect focus, but the wind may change the arrow's path. He does not rage against the wind. Instead, he adjusts his stance, studies the breeze, and learns to shoot with its currents rather than against them. So too with life. Many forces lie beyond our control, but acceptance gives us the freedom to focus on what we can change: our intentions, our actions, our responses. Sometimes we fear that accepting reality means we are defeated, but in truth, acceptance gives us power. It releases us from fighting shadows, from exhausting ourselves against what cannot be undone. It opens space to ask a deeper question: what is this moment teaching me? Instead of, why is this happening to me? This simple shift transforms suffering into wisdom. Even the darkest nights hold stars, if only we stop resisting the darkness long enough to see them. And perhaps the hardest acceptance is of ourselves, our mistakes, our scars, our hidden fears. We punish ourselves, thinking it will make us stronger, but transformation never comes from hate. It grows from understanding and gentle honesty. Like the monk who watched his bowl break and smiled, knowing it was never his to keep. We too find peace when we accept that everything comes and goes as it must. In this quiet surrender, trust is born. Trust that what is meant to stay will remain, and what must leave will do so in its own time. Only in that trust can we rest finally in the deep tranquility of the present moment. Lesson 3. Trusting fate, the wisdom of letting life unfold. In an obscure mountain village there dwelt an ancient monk of rock tsunami peace. One particular morning, when he was sweeping the temple courtyard, he was overtaken by a person outside the village who came to him in great excitement. "Master, hast thou heard? Your one cow is gone, lost into the forest. How bad is that? How will you drink milk or sell butter now?" The senior monk stood his broom against the wall, put his eyes shut, and said amiably, "Fortune or misfortune, only time will tell." A few days later, the cow brought back with her a great bull, said the villagers. "How marvelous, master! You have 2 till you land now. How good luck or bad luck, what knows?" smiled the monk. Not many days later, in breaking a bull, the disciple of the monk fell to the earth and broke his leg, and once more the people of the village shouted, "How unlucky!" But no, now your pupil cannot be of help to you. The monk, however, retorted, "Fortune or misfortune, only time would show." The weeks passed. A war exploded throughout the kingdom. Soldiers arrived in the village and took all young men to fight. Yet they did not want to take the disciple with his broken leg. The people of the village cried when their sons were going, but they all surrounded the old monk and said, "Oh, how blessed art thou, master! Thy pupil is spared." And the monk bowed his head, and with the eyes as calm as the silent dawn, he muttered, "Fortune or misfortune, time shall trow." The lesson here is that the construction of life is immeasurable and incomprehensible way above the narrow ring of judgment in our familiar scope. What seems a curse now might turn out as a concealed blessing to us tomorrow. Consider your personal experience. Maybe you lost your chances of pursuing a career you so much longed to complete, and you came across a career eventually that was actually your calling. It may be that you had a relationship that did not work out. Hence, you had a broken heart. However, the end of that relationship created a gap in your heart that your purest self could flourish. Buddhism teachings remind us that nothing is ever removed from this world without reason. What is going away is what has come to a cycle. What comes has come to a place ready to take it in. However, to observe, we have to learn patience and loyalty, like the moon itself, which awaits every month to be full once again, without worries, without rush. The butterfly and the power. Another story is of a boy when he happened upon a butterfly trying to get out of its cocoon. A desire to relieve her companion of pain having impelled him to remove the covering of the cocoon, he lightly skinned off its layers. The butterfly was easy to re-emerge. Still, the wings were curled and weak. It did not go aloft. The butterfly struggled against the cocoon, which the boy did not know was what caused the fluid to fill in the wings, and the butterfly was enabled to open and lift it to the sky. And how frequently do we also grow weary at waiting in life? We attempt to open the doors that are not ours to enter into yet. There are questions we want to be answered even before they have ripened in us. However, wisdom takes time and growth is not timely. Having faith in life does not imply sitting on the couch doing nothing. It serves to address what is within your responsibility or ability, such as a farmer to the crops he cultivates, to water it, to pluck the weeds, but not to tug at the shoots so that they grow more quickly. He is aware that every seed moves in a perfect timing. Buddhism urges us to look at life as a bystander. Rather than being opposed or combative towards everything that happens, we are able to soften our hearts and ask, what does this teach us? The lesson may not be obvious now, though. As time goes by, its goal can always be realized. As we embrace the inconstancy of life, we breathe with lightness. Their grip of fear and anxiety are loosened. We start enjoying the present, that though what is to happen to us may come, we will surely get what we are destined to get, and what will not happen to us will simply fall away like the leaves of autumn. Lesson 4. Meditation, finding stillness amid life's storms. Along the winding paths of trust and acceptance, there lies a sacred practice that anchors us when life feels turbulent. Meditation. In a small forest monastery, a young monk sat before his teacher, tears filling his eyes. "Master," he whispered, "my mind is like a restless ocean. I try to find peace, but the harder I try, the stronger the waves become." The master smiled gently and placed a bowl of water filled with soil before him. Stirring it with a stick, he said, "Look at this water. When it is agitated, can you see your reflection clearly?" "No, master," replied the monk. The teacher set the bowl down, Now wait." Slowly, the soil sank to the bottom, leaving the water clear and still. The master spoke softly, "This is your mind. Peace is not created by force. It appears naturally when you allow the storm to settle." Meditation in Buddhism is not about silencing the mind or escaping the world. It is about learning to sit with ourselves, without judgment, and observe each thought as it arises, like watching leaves float down a river, carried away by the current. In our modern lives, we are surrounded by endless noise, phone alerts, deadlines, social pressures, inner fears. Our minds are rarely at rest. Meditation is like stepping out of a crowded marketplace into a silent forest, where for the first time you can hear the whispers of your soul. Beyond its spiritual roots, science confirms meditation's profound effects. It lowers stress, calms the heart, sharpens focus, nurtures emotional resilience, and strengthens the immune system. But its deepest gift is spiritual. It reminds us of impermanence. When we sit quietly and observe our breath, we see that everything arises and passes away. Thoughts come and go like drifting clouds. Emotions appear like morning mist and dissolve under the sun. Pain, worry, and sorrow are no different. Nothing remains forever. In this simple truth lies profound freedom. Many people say, "I can't meditate. My mind never stops thinking." But meditation is not about emptying the mind. It is about realizing you are the sky, and your thoughts are only clouds drifting by. The sky remains vast and untouched, no matter how many clouds pass through it. Simple practice to begin. Breath meditation. Find a quiet space. Close your eyes and feel the coolness of each inhale and the warmth of each exhale. Do not try to control your breath. Simply observe it like a silent guardian watching the tides. Gratitude. Meditation. Each morning or night, bring to mind 3 simple things you are grateful for. The taste of fresh water, a loved one's smile, the softness of your pillow. Gratitude realigns your heart from scarcity to abundance. Letting. Meditation. Visualize what burdens you as a stone held in your hand. With each exhale, imagine your fingers loosening, releasing it into a river that carries it far away. Feel your hand become light and free again. As you practice regularly, you will notice a gentle change within. Reactions soften. The chaos of life feels less overwhelming. Moments become richer and more alive. Meditation teaches us to be fully present, and in that presence, we discover a power greater than control. The power to surrender gracefully to life's flow. This art of surrender is the next step on our path to awakening. Lesson 5. Letting go of control. Flowing with the universe. Along the banks of a quiet river, a master and his disciples stood watching the water glide over smooth stones. The morning mist rose above them as the disciple asked, "Master, how can I find peace in a world that refuses to follow my plans?" The master gestured toward the river's gentle current. "See how the water flows. It does not resist the rocks in its path. It moves around them, embracing each turn without complaint. That is how peace is found, by flowing with life rather than struggling against it. We spend much of our lives trying to control every detail. Our careers, relationships, health, and the opinions others hold about us. We tell ourselves that if we plan enough, we can prevent pain and secure happiness. Yet life is like this river, ever-changing, moving with its own mysterious rhythm. The more we cling to what we cannot control, the more we suffer. Buddhism teaches that peace arrives not when everything is under our command, but when we release the illusion that it ever could be. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or becoming careless. It means recognizing that we can offer our best efforts, but the outcomes are never fully ours to dictate. We can love someone deeply, but we cannot make them stay. We can nourish our bodies with healthful food, yet illness may still visit unannounced. We can speak truthfully, but we cannot ensure we will be understood. The Man on the Cliff. There is a story of a man who slipped from a narrow mountain path and in panic grabbed onto the root of a tree jutting from the cliffside. Dangling there, exhausted and terrified, he cried out for help. Hours passed, his fingers aching with pain, until at last his strength gave way. He let go, bracing for death, only to find himself standing on solid ground a few feet below. How often do we live like this man, gripping tightly to things that exhaust us, believing that letting go means certain doom? We cling to jobs that drain our spirits, to relationships that suffocate us, to dreams that no longer fit the person we are becoming. We fear that if we release them, we will fall into emptiness. Yet it is often in letting go that we finally find the solid ground we were seeking all along. Cultivating the art of surrender. How do we learn to let go? First, by accepting that uncertainty is woven into life itself. There are no promises carved in stone. The real source of our fear is not uncertainty itself, but our resistance to it. We can choose instead to approach each day with curiosity rather than dread. Ask yourself, what hidden gift might life offer me today? Often, what we see as problems are doorways in disguise. Losing a job may open space for your true calling to emerge. A heartbreak may free your heart to receive a love that honors your soul's depth. Every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning. Another way to practice letting go is to act without clinging to results. Paint because you love the colors, not because you need praise. Write because words free your spirit, not because you seek approval. Like children who play simply to feel the wind on their faces, we too can learn to live with pure presence. The role of meditation. Meditation is a powerful ally on this path. It teaches us to watch our fears rise and fall like waves on the ocean, without drowning in them. It shows us clearly what we can influence and what lies beyond our grasp. Letting go of control is not passive resignation. It is the quiet confidence that no matter what life brings, we have within us the resilience to meet it. It is trusting that the river of existence carries us not toward ruin, but toward growth. When we surrender our need to control, life becomes softer, lighter. Compassion blooms within us, not only for the world, but for ourselves. We begin to forgive our imperfections, to release the harsh judgments we place upon our hearts, because in the end, letting go is not just about releasing the world outside. It is about releasing the prison of fear within us, so that we may finally flow freely with the gentle, ever-moving current of life. Lesson 6. Compassion, the gentle power that heals. One quiet morning, a weary traveler sat by the temple gates, tears falling onto the dusty ground. A monk walking by stopped for a moment and gently asked, "Why are you crying, my friend?" "I am not worthy," the man sobbed. "I've hurt those I care for with my anger. I cannot forgive myself. My mistakes press on me like heavy stones." The monk sat beside him and said, "Tell me, if a bird punished itself for falling by breaking its own wings, how could it ever fly again? Guilt is the stone that drags us into darkness. Compassion is the breeze that helps us rise back to the light." Buddhism teaches that compassion is one of the strongest forces in life, yet we often forget that it must first begin with ourselves. We speak kindly to friends, forgive their small wrongs, and comfort them in pain. But when it comes to ourselves, we become harsh judges. We replay past mistakes in our minds, point out every flaw, and whisper things to our hearts that we'd never say to anyone else. Does this cruelty help us grow? Number A. Tree cannot grow well when its roots are cut. It grows when its roots are cared for with patience and sunlight. Practicing loving kindness. There is a Buddhist practice known as metta bhavana, or loving kindness meditation. It starts by sending kind wishes to ourselves. May I be safe. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. At first, these words may feel strange or even uncomfortable, especially if we carry old guilt or shame. But with time, they reach the hidden wounds inside us, slowly healing them. As we grow this inner compassion, we begin to share it naturally with others. We start to see that every person we meet is fighting quiet battles, carrying invisible burdens. Compassion then becomes a gentle understanding that no one is perfect, but everyone deserves love. Letting go of resentment. There is an old story. A man carries a sack of rocks on his back. Every stone he picked was a grudge he held against someone who had wronged him. At every step, his knees grew weak under the heavy load, yet he still refused to let go. A monk passing by asked, "Why hold on to something that only brings pain?" The man replied, "If I let go, they won't know my anger." "But they don't see this burden you're carrying," said the monk. "People only see actions. Anger is like holding a burning coal in your hand, ready to throw it at someone, but you end up burning yourself instead. Bitterness is like adding poison to old wounds, stopping us from moving ahead with an open heart. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting what happened or excusing someone's wrong actions. It means freeing ourselves from the chains of resentment so life becomes lighter and easier to walk through. Cultivating compassion for those who hurt us. How can we feel compassion for those who hurt us? First, by realizing that people act based on their own pain and awareness. Someone who causes harm is often led by their own suffering. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it stops us from taking their actions personally. Second, by giving ourselves the time we need to heal. Forgiveness doesn't happen in a single day. It is a process of letting go again and again until the wound heals with wisdom instead of just scar tissue. Third, by seeing that compassion is not a weakness, it is a strength. It takes courage to forgive. It takes bravery to release what hurts and choose peace instead. The transformative power of compassion. When we start living with compassion, our lives begin to change. We shift from reacting out of fear to responding with love. Our hearts grow softer, our words kinder, and our presence becomes a safe place for ourselves and others. This compassion isn't just about big actions. Sometimes it's simply pausing to breathe before saying something harsh to yourself. It's gently placing a hand on your heart when old guilt comes up and saying, "It's okay, you are still learning, you are human." Through compassion, we discover a deep peace within, a peace that spreads outward, touching others and helping create a world with less suffering and more love. Conclusion. As we reach the end of today's journey, remember this: life will always remain uncertain. People will come and go. Plans may fall apart and dreams might change their form. Yet inside you is a quiet place untouched by the noise of the world, a place of deep peace, trust, and quiet strength. Every time you choose acceptance over resistance, compassion over judgment, and presence over anxiety, you return to your true home within. If today's teachings brought you clarity, just imagine what life could be if rooted in these truths. So I invite you to reflect on which lesson touched your heart the most. Write it down and keep it close today as a gentle reminder. And if you wish to keep growing on this path of peace and wisdom, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Every day, we share timeless Buddhist teachings to guide your life with calmness, courage, and compassion. Also, a special bonus lesson is waiting for you in our next video to help you go even deeper on this journey. Until then, may you move with life like a gentle river, trust its wisdom, and walk each step with a peaceful heart.